Now we have the PVD model set up on the client. We now want to run an experiment. So we want one unit connected to the grid and one to run the model on behaviours power being generated by a system of solar panels. The first thing we need to consider is a physical switch on the units. So if you approach the units and open the door on the front of one of the units, you should see a switch like this. In the on position, or GE position, this allows the unit to run as a grid emulator or run a model in voltage mode. In the off, or EL position, this allows the unit to run as electronic load or any other mode. So we need one unit to emulate the grid, so we'll need the switch on one of the units to be on. I will need another unit to run the PVD model. So depending on the parameter mode you set for the model in Simulink, the model I was using was in power mode. I set the parameter mode to 3. So I'll need the switch on one of the units to be in the off position. So I know that unit 1 is set to the on position and unit 4 is set to the off position because I set them. So now I'm going to change the mode in the software. So I do that by clicking this button here, and then I'll start with changing unit 1. So as the switch was set in the on position, if I select this here, it will select GE or grid emulation mode. I click confirm, and now switches to grid emulation mode. And then for unit 4, change the mode in the software to model mode. So now I have model mode here, the current output, so I can select a voltage mode, current mode, power mode. So now if I go to the experiment menu to set up an experiment, and then I start by configuring the nodes, and now I'll add the grid emulator to the experiment, and I'll give it a name. Node mode is set as grid emulation, which is what I want. And now I need to assign unit 1 to this, so I'll do that by clicking assign node to experiments. And now unit 1 is set as grid emulation in the experiment. So now I'm going to add the model mode to the experiment, and I'm going to give it a name, call it PVD, as I plan for it to run the PVD model. And I don't want grid emulation, I want to select model mode power output, because the output of the model I set at Simulink was in power mode. So, and then select the model, and this was the model I produced. I click confirm. Now I want to set unit 4 to run this part of the experiment. So if I assign unit 4 to the experiment, now I have unit 4 set here. Now I'm going to click on the experiment menu as I've assigned all my nodes to correct paths. I'm going to now save this setup and give it a name. So I'm going to call it PVD grid, and then click save. And now I can start this experiment. So if I click start experiment, it gives me a warning message saying that unit 1 and unit 4 is going to start. So if I click continue, now the experiment is running, but the units haven't started yet. So if I click launch control nodes, and I'm going to enable and start the grid emulator. And I'm going to enable and start the model. So I'm now running an experiment, and I can look at the data from each of these two windows. And that is how you set up an experiment with a PVD model and a grid emulator.